5 months ago, back when the translations for the first Sharp arc were coming out, and Rudo and the gang were on a mission to exterminate trash beasts in Kremo's village, I made a prediction. The Watchman wasn't simply some mindless creature that was guarding the entry and exit from the sphere. Rather, the Watchman was Surebrek himself, the creator of the Watchman series. More than this, the Watchman was the result of Surebrek wearing all 5 instruments from his series and abandoning his humanity, falling into despair. Now fast forward 5 months, and Gachiakuta appears to take a sharp detour from its main storyline. Rudo and the others head to the doll festival, following a vague lead about a figure associated with the White Crow, a lead that's supposed to bring them to Countess, the glass giver of the Watchmen series. The tone is lighter, the setting is festive, and the story becomes packed with playful cameos ranging from Blue Lock to Attack on Titan to Dragon Ball, and many more. Even structurally, the arc presents itself as a pause rather than a continuation of the main storyline. The central objective, finding the White Crow in an enormous crowd, initially sounds difficult, but it never feels truly impossible, especially when compared to the challenges the cleaners have faced before. And that expectation proves correct, with everything unfolding with surprising ease. Once they reach the stadium, Rudo and gang quickly discover their person of interest, Lily, a famous celebrity on the ground. Rudo then makes contact with her almost immediately, thanks to a raffle ticket he just happened to win earlier. Lily gives Rudo the information he's looking for, with little resistance, provides him with a way to contact Countess, and the cleaners effectively accomplish the goal within the arc without any major sacrifice or struggle. Even the method itself feels unserious. The special choker Rudo receives is framed as Lily's bra, played off as a joke rather than a meaningful artifact. Finally, when the arc's main antagonist, Mymo, is introduced, he barely registers as a threat. With his strange haircut, bizarre outfit, and previous occupation as a cheerful news reporter, he feels more like a comic relief than a serious villain. He appears with no build-up and no clear connection to the larger story, making him feel entirely disposable. Up to this point, the Doll Festival arc reads as nothing more than a filler, a lighthearted intermission meant to give the reader a breather while the author prepares something more important down the line. Everything about it feels deliberately unserious. But then comes chapter 150, and the tone violently snaps back into place. We are fully confronted with Mymo's true nature, the brutal murder of Countess's parents, followed by the prolonged torture and mutilation of Countess himself, retroactively reframes everything that came before. This was never meant to be just another arc, or a temporary detour while the author planned the main story. The Doll Festival arc is one of Gachiakuta's most important arcs. Throughout the story, we're told by characters like Kuro, the information broker, or Engine, that vital instruments reflect their users and how the users thinks about them. And these latest chapters, Mymo further confirms this, revealing that vital instruments don't merely grant power, but reflect ideology, belief, obsession, and the powers gained from vital instruments are mostly limited only by the user's creativity. Overall, this arc confirms my very first Gachiakuta theory, that through the fusion of vital instruments and Watchman series artifacts, a person can transcend humanity itself, becoming something entirely different, something incomprehensible and godlike. This is first demonstrated through Mymo's transformation, and later echoed when Rudo mirrors the same path. In doing so, the arc retroactively supports the idea that Surebrek used the Watchman series to surpass humanity and ultimately become the Watchman. However, notice there is one important aspect I have not mentioned so far, one important detail, or should I say character, that the author is also trying to desperately make us forget about, as all these major events are unfolding. Where is Tamsy? At the beginning of this arc, Tamsy asks to take a small leave, which seems odd, especially considering that throughout the story and up until that point, Tamsy had always been at the center of our attention as the main antagonist of the series. Tamsy is, while this arc reaches its peak, still playing an active role. Even Corvus, the cleaner's boss, confirms during his confession to Semu that something big is about to unfold, even requesting Semu to use her vital instrument to see into the future at the risk of potentially blinding her. And what is the role Tamsy seeks to complete? Pushing Rudo over the limit. Even during the arc just preceding the Doll Festival arc, during the first job arc, Tamsy played a central role as we got to better understand his mission, to make Rudo despair, bring him over the edge like he was originally meant to before he met Engine and the cleaners. And why is it necessary for Tamsy to make Rudo despair? Well, as Rudo explained during the Trash Storm arc, for someone to be capable of using a Watchman series vital instrument, the user needs to have a part missing. Then what if to wear all 5 Watchman items, the user has to have more parts missing? And what if the user, having fallen into despair, rejects his humanity and becomes something else, something like a god? This would certainly explain a lot if we accept the theory that the Watchman is the result of Surebrek having fallen into despair, like like his letter suggested, where he explains he has to go big to change and that he couldn't stop the humans. An odd choice of words, unless we understand that Canis isn't human. This would also explain why Rector had to die, why Mymo was captured and tortured, why Tamsy didn't intervene when Rudo and Follow fought, even when Follow fell from the cliff, leaving Rudo to blame himself for what could have been his death. All these moments are the result of Tamsy attempting to force the birth of a new Watchman. There's a lot more to unpack here, especially with Mymo, who seems to know so much about everyone and everything, including the history of the ground and the sphere, the secret past of everyone, and the true origin of Vital Instrument, or other characters like Tu Lily, who aren't whom they seem to be. If you liked this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Until next time.